Welcome back to Change Nation. I'm here with Dr. David Simon. David, we have looked at different connections between emotion and physical health. I'm curious, with all the changes that people are going on right now, what are ways to strengthen ourselves physically, emotionally, our immune system? How can we be part of the group of people that doesn't get sick?
Well, everybody knows the right things we're all supposed to do. You know, we're supposed to get to bed on time, we're supposed to not smoke or drink, use drugs, we're supposed to eat healthy, we're supposed to exercise regularly. And it's my experience that everybody knows that. We've known that since high school health class. But we also know that most people don't follow those practices. And I think that before we can make those shifts, we have to really ask ourselves a core question, which is, what am I carrying with me from my past that's no longer serving me in my present? And just literally closing our eyes and asking that question and seeing if something comes into our awareness, and then taking steps to whatever we need to do to release that misunderstanding, that misbelief, that negative self-messaging. And then the second question is to ask, what am I holding myself back from? That if I allowed myself to ingest it, it would bring me to a higher level of well-being. And so it's our experience, it's my experience and our experience at the Chopra Center, that until people can really say, I'm free from my past, it becomes difficult to consistently move forward into the healthier lifestyle, because there's another voice that is sabotaging, saying, you don't deserve to lose that weight, you don't deserve to be that healthy, you don't deserve to feel that vital or creative. But assuming that you have gotten to that place, then, you know, if I had to say one thing that is the most helpful to bring people into a state of balance, it's to take time every day to quiet the mind and go inside in meditation. That by quieting down that internal dialogue that repeats your self-talk all the time, it actually allows you to consider that there's some new creative opportunities that may be different than what you've been previously engaging in. And so, you know, at the Chopra Center and all of our work, we think that meditation is core, that if we can just get people to quiet down, then all the other choices they're trying to make, be it stop smoking, stop drinking, lose weight, exercise, stop fighting with their spouses, engage in behaviors that they think will bring them more abundance.
What do you say to people who've tried to meditate? Like, who are listening to this, watching this, going, I try to meditate, so not my thing, I'm terrible at it, I quit.
Yeah, well, first of all, trying is exactly the opposite of meditation, so stop trying. You know, I often say, people say, oh, I can't concentrate in my meditation. And I say, that's good, because we're not running a concentration camp here, we're running an expansion camp. But, you know, for some people whose bodies are filled with lots of energy, sitting down quietly is not the first step. So that's where some more movement meditation can be helpful. It could be kind of just free-flowing dance, it could be Tai Chi, it could be yoga, but something where it's not goal-oriented. That's the shift. Instead of doing something to accomplish something, meditation is doing something to reduce the level of activity so that we can become a human being again, as opposed to what everybody else is doing, which is to be a human doing.
David, your book, Free to Love, Free to Heal, what does love have to do with health or disease at this point?
Yeah, everything. You know, it's interesting. Michael Crichton, the novelist, when he was a medical student, he was walking around the cardiology wards, and he was asking patients late at night, you know, what do you think caused your heart attack? And every person, on some level or another, said that their heart attack was a physical reflection of not feeling loved in some way. And we know that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It makes us safe, it brings us wholeness, it activates healing chemistry, it opens up creativity, it quiets down turbulence in the mind, and it's really the essence of healing, it's the essence of life, and even it's the essence of whatever happens beyond life. You know, as I take care of people at all stages of life, and including people who die, and when people are dying, it's very rare to hear someone say, my only regret is I didn't go to the office more often on the weekends. You know, it's always some story about love. I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have explored more things with my friends. So love is the essence of this experience.
How do you feel parents impact our health later on in life, our decisions, our choices. What would you tell parents who are listening to this, watching you? What must they do? What must they not do?
Yeah, you know, we're not that good at parenting in this society. I think part of it is my 11-year-old daughter, who just finished the 5th grade, has a classmate who just got her period. So she's the first girl in her class who got her period. And I was thinking, this is crazy. Get an 11-year-old girl together with a 12-year-old boy, and in 10 minutes, or actually in the case of the boy, 10 seconds, they can make a baby. So biologically, we're equipped to have children way before we're emotionally equipped, and it shows. You know, most people were raised by amateurs learning on the job who hadn't really learned how to set their own boundaries, and yet they're responsible for setting children's boundaries. So I really think that the next wave of well-being has to be focused on conscious parenting, setting healthy boundaries for your children, always focusing on raising their level of self-esteem and helping your children figure out why are they here in the world and how they can set healthy boundaries for themselves so that as they eventually become adults, they can use their full potential to make a contribution to their world.
In your book, you talk about 5 steps to healing. Can you walk us through those?
Yes, you know, I've been studying this ancient system of health from India. It's a 5,000-year-old system, Ayurveda, and they have this very elegant detoxification program, which is about the physical body. And so there's 5 steps. There's preparing for the detoxification. There's the identification of what it is that's toxic. There's the process of mobilizing the toxicity. There's the process of eliminating the toxicity. And now that the system is less toxic, then there's this rejuvenation. And so I've actually applied that sequence to the emotional toxicity. You know, in Ayurveda, there's this really interesting concept known as Agni, which means fire. The English word ignite or ignition comes from the Sanskrit root Agni. And the idea is that we have this kind of metaphorical fire, and that when the fire is burning brightly, whatever we feed the fire, whatever we hear, however we're touched, whatever we see, whatever we taste, whatever we smell, we can cook that experience, extracting what's nourishing and then eliminating what's not. But if the fire is weak, or what we're putting on the fire, the experience is too powerful, then we don't fully metabolize that experience, and we have a residue, a toxic residue. The word in Sanskrit is ama. So we can think of that on a physical level. If you eat too much cholesterol or saturated fat-rich foods, you deposit that in your blood vessels and you get a heart attack or stroke. But I think that most people carry a lot of emotional ama, which means emotional experiences from the past exceeded our capacity to fully metabolize them, so we're carrying that residue.
What do you think are the most toxic emotions people are carrying? Like if you said you must eliminate guilt or anger or unforgiveness, which ones do you think they are? Yeah,
I think regret is the most painful emotion. You know, regret is, oh, you know, why did I do that, or why didn't I do that? And what I think is helpful for people who are carrying regret is to recognize that if we can't look back at our life and say, oh, if I only knew then what I know now, I would have done things differently, then there hasn't been any growth. There hasn't been any learning. So rather than seeing, oh, why did I do that or why didn't I do that, we should look back at our past, look at where we are now and say, wow, as a result of that perhaps expensive lesson, I'm a different person, that I can now make better choices moving forward.
Well, I'm very glad we chose to have you here on the show.
I'm very glad
David,
to be here.
The book is Free to Love, Free to Heal. Highly recommend it. Get it for yourself, get it for a loved one, anyone you know struggling maybe with an emotional issue, physical challenge. For more information about David's work, please feel free to visit his website, freetolove.com. Thanks for listening. For more interesting, inspiring interviews, please be sure to visit us on the web at changenation.com. Thank you.